So the show is called Scotty with the Baby, but we're really not talking about the baby. What we're really watching is a woman, a baddie, if you will, in real time, learning what happens when you decide to trade it all for a wealthy man just to be chosen. Let's talk about it. Yes, your girl watches Zeus. We're not here to judge. And before you judge me, know that I always watch the network with a critical lens. I'm always using my scholastic hat. Matter of fact, I watch and I take notes. The shows that always draw my attention are Jocelyn's Cabaret, The Baddies, of course, and now Scotty with the Baby. And I can tell you why. Not only do I love all things reality TV and reality fodder, even people behaving badly because it's a genuine crash course in human behavior. But all of these shows highlight the plight of the hot girl. They genuinely break down what the real issue is with the systems in real time in every aspect of these shows. So this latest show, Scotty with the Baby, features breakout star from Baddie's Scotty with the Body. So who is Scotty and how did we even get here? Let's analyze this using the first framework within the plight of the hot girl, body commodification. So Scotland Ryan is her real name, but Scotty the Body is the breakout star from Baddie's South. She was actually brought on like mid-season, and Natalie gave her the title Scotty with the Body. She was known for having a body that was dynamically shaped. She looked as though she frequented the gym. She was known as a personal trainer. So she took on the title Scotty the Body. On a show called Baddies, where women are known for their physical appearance, Scotty became a breakout star rather quickly because of her physique. She was categorized as more beautiful on the show. And yeah, she totally built an entire franchise around how she looked, including doing shows on the side, OnlyFans, and taking on appearances with the show's CEO, Natalie Nunn. Again, building an entire career on how you look and what you can produce sexually. The Baddies franchise is built on the commodifications of Black women's bodies. That's exactly how they make their money week after week. They make their money exploiting Black women's drama, physical appearance, physical altercations, conflict, and of course, sexual exploitation. The audience loves this, and Scotty played off of all of it. Fast forward a few seasons later, and Scotty enters a situationship with the head of the Zeus network, Mr. Lemmy Plummer. Lemmy, or Lemon Pepper, was also in a 7-year relationship with another woman, Janisha, right? So Scotty ends up being known as a homewrecker. She maintains that this was all complete allegation and the timelines don't timeline. He's an open relationship. He and Scotty were free to do what they wanted to do. But just remember, how you start is usually how you finish. And it started, albeit a bit messy to the public, once Lemmy and Scotty decided to come forward as a couple. This is all a successful setup for a trap. When you've built your entire value proposition or your capitalistic offering around how you look, what you can provide sexually, your sexual position and desirability, we all know how patriarchy works. That's a slippery slope. It was an economic strategy, brand positioning, and ultimately a survival mechanism amongst the Baddies ecosystem. Let's talk a little bit more about Lemmy, because he is a secondary star of Scotty with the Body, but his positioning in this ecosystem of the Baddies and the Zeus network is very important. Let's take a look at the second framework within the plight of the hot girl, and that's narrative control. Let's learn about Lemon Pepper, shall we? Lemon Pepper is a Detroit baby. Both of his parents are from a Christian background. They are not only both pastors, but owned a television network in Detroit and parlayed that into a lot of money. Some of us remember Lemmy from way back in the day from this show. I think it came out in the late 2000s, but it was called The Real Pastors of LA. So you see where I'm going here? There's like a history of exploitative behavior capitalized for reality television within the Plummer household. Lemmy's father is now infamously known as Israel's Christian bishop, or some sort of religious title that gives you all of the pause, because what is the religious ties and the financial ties with Israel and these television networks? That also leads to a larger conversation as to how in the heck is Zeus even getting funded? And how are all of these heads, seemingly the heads of the company that are Black, how are they comfortable with these horrible images of Black bodies that are showcased around the world? Because let's be clear, the majority, I'm talking 98% of all of Zeus programming features negative imaging of Black people. I'm not even ashamed to say that. I'm not biased. I'm not even being funny. That is just the truth. The truth that is the truth. So let's get back to a little bit more about Lemmy. Critical context, Lemmy is listed as an owner, the head of the Zeus network. This is crucial because as the owner, he's very much in the Diddy model. He's always in the videos, always in the promotion on all of the reality television shows, happens to make a physical appearance in all of these shows. Not only is he in charge on paper and legally, he also has an interest in being in front of the camera. You know what I'm screaming? This, again, gives you Diddy 2.0 vibes. He is not afraid to put himself in front of the camera. In fact, as the years have progressed, he is lurching forward as a star in his own right. He wants to be a star. He even has a single he dropped, bless his heart. This is definitely giving Diddy vibes. So Lemmy is the owner of the network, but Scotty is the talent therein on the network. So for several seasons, while Scotty worked as a baddie on the Baddie show alongside of the other baddies, Lemmy was her employer. Lemmy was her boss. In fact, he still is. So they're now in a romantic and a reproductive relationship. So now we have a power dynamic that is not accidental. In fact, this is the entire architecture of what it is that we're watching. You know, Black women getting exploited, but on various levels. That is the foundation for Zeus. Lemmy spent 7 years in a relationship with Janisha John, a woman who ultimately became an executive within the Zeus network, pushed her into the production realm where she now receives production credit on many of the reality shows, acts as a reunion host. She's a very beautiful, very intelligent woman. However, take a look at the patterns here. There's a labor extraction that Lemmy capitalizes on, very, very pimpin'. So even after their romantic relationship is over, he's still able to extract productivity from a Black body that he has commodified, which in the case of Janisha John, it looks like she has a little bit more agency as a producer or receiving production credit, but she's still getting played by the pimp. And although she's no longer in a romantic relationship with Lemmy, she's still laboring for Lemmy, if you will, as a host on one of his shows. So the show is sold as a celebration of their love, as a celebration of their relationship. But I've shared with you that it started off steeped in mess. Was it a breakup? Was Scotty the side piece or nah? Depends on who you ask. Honestly, we'll never know. But even the title of the show is very cringy. They've taken the brand autonomy or the agency that was Scotty the Body and replaced it with Scotty with the Baby. So her body identity is being replaced by her maternal identity. The network is documenting in real time the transformation from her body commodification, exploited from one purpose, sexual exploitation, to another, being somebody's mama, birthing, a reproductive agent. Exploitation at its finest. Lemmy, as I mentioned before, is now pushing himself to go live more often on the social media platforms. He's even come up with his own rap and R&B singles, showcasing that he has a true desire to be in the spotlight. He has a tendency to go live, and this is also tapping into his narcissistic traits. The people that he tends to go live around often look visibly uncomfortable because it happens to be uncomfortable when your boss or someone in a higher power dynamic is often pushing you to do things that you don't want to do. But this allows Lemmy to control the narrative of the stories that he's putting out. He's starting to mute the voices of the women who come forward to tell their stories, you know, give you the real truth behind the baddies, the frustrations behind Scotty with the Body, what really goes on in these relationships. And instead, he's trying to get in front of the narrative. We've seen this before, and control the narrative. That is a very dangerous thing. That is the system at work. So stay woke. On a recent live that came out right around the debut of Scotty with the Baby, Lemmy was live on TikTok asking Scotty to clear up the rumors. Are you with me for the money? Tell them the truth. Tell them the truth. Do you like me better than the athletes? Tell them the truth. Tell them the truth. Do you prefer athletes or CEOs? How much money do you really need to be happy? Thou doth protest a little too much. And you're demanding that she performs her loyalty on a regular basis in front of an audience of strangers. Narrative control at its finest, but this is peak cringe behavior because that's not love. right? Love does not have its own way. He is publicly requiring her to perform and defend their relationship and its legitimacy on his own terms. That is very dangerous. That's not vulnerability. That is not love. That is control, and that is an audit of the narrative so that you can be further controlled. Message. So let's get deeper into the actual show, Scotty with the Baby. What are we watching? What is this even? And we're going to use the framework complicity as survival to do a deeper dive. So the premise of Scotty with the Baby is essentially counting down Scotty's pregnancy journey and showcasing the relationship that she has behind the scenes with Lemmy. You know, we can finally put the rumors to rest because the two are really showing their love for one another, this love that produced a baby. It's also important to note that this is Zeus's very first show that features Lemmy as a leading cast member. You know he loves that. So now he's not the network owner, executive producer, but he's also a leading principal cast member. There's more narrative control even when you consider who's controlling these edits. Because if Lemmy is in charge of the show from the rooter to the tutor, he clearly knows what he's doing when he's poking her with these ridiculous antagonistic questions, demanding that she be grateful on camera, demanding that she show love, that she show him attention and affection, and physically seeing her face drop, physically seeing that she looks sad and depressed. That's not edited out. That's all narrative control. This is why we have a show that's going to sell. It's called Scotty with the Baby under the pretense of them having the most fairy tale like Pretty Woman-esque relationship. Wealthy man picks up a sex worker, you know, and changes her life for the better. This is actually giving you the opposite. We're seeing in real time how this is a complete backfire. You don't really have agency in these types of situations. You're actually under more control, and that is not favorable. I wanted to note a few things on the show. I noticed very quickly on that Lemmy's and Scotty's interaction in their relationship is very much, we just tolerate one another. Scotty does not look to be in love at all. And I don't know that to be a fact, but there's also a lot of frowned faces, a lot of scrunched face, a lot of attitude, a lot of because honestly, he gives you the he gives you the ick. He's not very attentive, if you will. He's not very considerate on the show. It opens with the two of them in the bathroom preparing for their baby gender reveal. And even in the bathroom conversation, I was totally turned off. I had to pause it twice. He's asking her to do his hair, but he's using a lot of anti-Black language. Can you fix my naps? Comb out my naps. My hair is so nappy. He calls her a white girl over and over again. We all know that Scotty is not white. Scotty is a light-skinned Black woman. And so I'm not even clear as to where the humor would come in. It's not even funny. It's very immature, antagonistic, and again, very anti-Black. So I wouldn't personally have 0.5 seconds of tolerating his foolish going back and forth. It's so ridiculous. But he doesn't stop. Like, this is incessant. It's clearly a repeat thing that he does. Do you love me? How much do you love me? Show me how you love me. Prove that you love me. Why do you go into my phone? Why do you do what you do? Just antagonizing her on camera so that he can paint her in a certain light and paint himself in a certain light. The light being that he has all this money and the ability to provide her a certain life, and she should be grateful. Just be grateful that she has access to some of this money that he has given her. Now, she'll push back several times throughout the show that the money doesn't matter. Ultimately, that what she desires are emotional comforts, you know, genuine aspects of love, like quality time, being respectful with one another. I don't know, sexual intimacy, because allegedly they're not even having the sex. To all of which Lemmy pushes back, baby, I'm a rich man. You knew what time it was when you met me. This is the program. He even uses language like we can have a customizable relationship. So when you're watching, you're thinking, what the hell does that mean? Is that open relationship? And allegedly customizable is just narcissistic terms saying just that. You can justify the terms of the relationship to satisfy the man, essentially. Who's falling for that? Scotty, stand up. Get up, girl. Get up. She just looked so miserable the entire show. She's surrounded by a bunch of friends and family during the baby shower, but many of which looked like they were just tolerating the situation as well. Natalie Nunn shows up from the Baddies, and this is one of the last times we see Natalie, even in the realm of supporting Scotty and Lemmy, because as it comes out, Natalie is one of the first friends to say, girl, you look miserable. This is a miserable situation. This is not what you want. Good luck of that. This is a Zeus baby. That's actually what Natalie calls her, a Zeus baby. She ain't lying. Lemmy's mother gives up a prayer during the baby shower, but it is a very shady prayer. It's as though other people can sense the fact that this is not the best life decision, because what exactly is the ROI here outside of you having a baby by a wealthy man? If the man doesn't respect you, love you, treat you the way that you want to be treated, why are you there? And that's a larger question for all of us. Why are you there? If it doesn't look like love, it doesn't feel like love, and you can't validate that it is love, what's the sense of hanging around when there's no love to be found? Questions. Going back to the grateful language and the fact that she is supposed to be grateful for being in this relationship, the episode closes with Lemmy taking her to Thailand for a baby moon, where she asks him, can she take some of her friends? Of course he says yes. It's a reality television show. We need the drama. The friends show up. Again, you're not even in a situation of people that genuinely love and respect you, because they get to fighting with her biological brother and amongst themselves at the nightclub in Thailand. She's a pregnant woman, mind you. Just messy, messy, messy. So you start to feel bad for Scotty as the audience, because where are your real, genuine friends? Where's the genuine love in your life from your romantic partner? And where's your family to come and grab you, girl, and bring you back to North Carolina, if you will, or to your roots, a sense of self? You need that, because clearly that's lost. It looks miserable. I go back to having too much dip on your chip. But honey, you're not in a monogamous relationship. Although he's wealthy, he is, yuck. If you took away the money, honestly, he's so strong in the face and his body is so blessed. I don't know of any woman that would be remotely interested in what Lemmy was putting down. The way Lemon Pepper even talks to women is just, girl. So you made a gross miscalculation and you ended up having too much dip on your chip. You were in a complicated situation already that took a bit of your agency away from you by being a star on a show in a system that is baddies and Zeus. But then to go even further down the rabbit hole and to commit to a Lemmy Plummer with a baby, sis. And this is where a teachable moment can happen, because most women, we can look at a complicated situation, know that it's complicated, see that it's probably not right, all the red flags, and still choose it. And in Scotty's situation, it still seemed like the better choice, because the alternative would be, how am I going to continue the longevity of pushing the Scotty with the body brand if I can't keep my body in tip-top shape, if I'm not sexually attractive for the rest of my life, if I'm not desirable by other men? You know what I'm screaming? Now, if I get pregnant, at least if I have a wealthy man, I'm potentially expanding my options, expanding my position, and hopefully grasping at a sense of sustainability. You know, I'm trying to provide myself a better life. That was the illusion. That was the intention. Will that happen the way that was intended? We shall see. You're gambling. But the calculation is not irrational. In fact, unfortunately, it is a more logical reaction or a response to a system that limits your options, especially if you're a Black woman. So the problem is not always the choices that we make, but we should examine the systems that put us in these compromising situations. Lemmy, Zeus, patriarchal capitalism, hegemonic behavior, trying to be chosen by the system. Ladies, let's examine the Zeus Network's role in this situation. So the Zeus Network has built its entire business model on the bodies, conflict, trauma, and exploitation of Black women. Now, it has since crossed over into gay Black men, but be very clear, the foundation is the exploitation of Black women's bodies, period. And the Baddies franchise in particular packages Black women's aggression, sexuality, sexual exploitation, desirability, and their interpersonal dysfunction, because again, a whole nother video, got to check the backgrounds too, but it packages it all up and it sells it as entertainment on a subscription basis. They're making millions and millions of dollars every week. So some of the former network talents have alleged that Lemmy takes their likenesses and sells them to sponsors, partners, and foreign entities to further build the Zeus Network. Where have we heard that before? That's exactly how Black women's bodies are commodified around the world and have been since even before chattel slavery. So Lemmy and the Zeus Network have taken a larger model, the macro, and they're microing it down. The model continues to get refined and sharper, so you can start to see examples into the shows that we watch every week. So Scotty with the Baby is going to be the logical endpoint of said model, just as I mentioned. When you finally extracted the body content from the talent, you pivot to extracting the motherhood content for Scotty. So Scotty's giving you 2 for 1. The commodity shift, but you're still doing the same thing. You're extracting and exploiting an aspect of her life, her ability to produce or perform in any regard. And what I think is interesting to note here too is how we've witnessed this before in my other Pimp Chronicle analyses, how Black women love to follow suit in this business model and assume this role of pimp to aspire to another level of agency. Get a little bit more money, if you will. If I can do it to someone else, it won't hurt as bad because it was done to me. In this instance with Scotty with the Baby, Janisha John, the ex-lover of Lemmy, is able to step in as an executive producer on the Scotty with the Baby show. So now Lemmy has both of those women sitting as executive producers, profiting off of each other's pain, drama, trauma, physical ability, physical prowess. It's wild. And no one wants to stop the system by getting off this train and getting off these shows. No one wants to stop being exploited. Instead, they're clamoring to see who can exploit the most, or you'd rather be on the higher end of the exploitation spectrum. The Baddies franchise in general has always pushed the narrative of being the most desirable, similar to the plight of the hot girl. In the early 2000s, it was being the most attractive, the woman with the most desirability amongst men. And that's essentially what the baddies sell. They sell the sexual control and the element of we can make our own money. So there's an aspect of patriarchy there as well, but it's still very appealing to men, and that's what sells. They sell that this allure is the direct roadmap to securing wealthier men, because baddies can't be with average men, right? Baddies want to be with men with money, power, and respect, because they are aspiring for their own money, power, and respect. They're just utilizing their sexual prowess to obtain it. So in the Scotty example, it appears that she is one of those breakout baddies that sprinted and secured the wealthiest of the wealthy, the head of Zeus. So on the surface, it looks like Scotty has won. But what we see in the show, it documents that although you may have cashed in and secured a baby or become the baby mama of a wealthy man like Lemmy, you still are playing by the rules of the system. You're still getting exploited. You're still getting the least ROI, all while being filmed on camera, all while performing, all while being required to show gratitude to a situation and a man in a relationship that you're not happy with. That sounds like misery. And this is a direct connection to the Jezebel archetype that we find within the Plight of the Hot Girl framework. The Jezebel is the woman whose sexuality is visible, public, and economically useful, but whose interiority, discomfort, and complexities are systemically rendered invisible or legible only as drama. Is that not the baddies? Is that not Scotty with the body? Is that not Scotty with the baby? See how we interchange that? So what does that mean for all of us watching this show? This is our call to consciousness. Now, I'm not saying that you have to go out and watch Scotty with the Baby or anything on Zeus. You can actually leave that to me, because I don't know that I'm going to cancel my subscription. Although I'm highly critical of this show, it definitely gave me the yuck. I'm still seated for Baddies and the upcoming reunion. I still love Jocelyn. Let me know if you want me to do separate videos on my Zeus obsessions. I can break that down to the white meat as well. But here is where we are called to utilize our cultural analysis framework. Most of us that are watching the show, you cannot turn it off and think, oh my gosh, these two people are really happy in a healthy, functioning relationship. I so wish I was Lemmy and Scotty, may a love like that find me. Absolutely not. You turn it off and you're like, thank God. You think you want a wealthy man until you start talking and he looks like a cinnamon stick and he's telling you to pick out his naps and be grateful for the fact that he bought you a Gucci bag. Ew. This is the show working as it's designed, ultimately. Believe it or not, reality TV requires visible tension. If there's not visible tension, the audience won't continue watching. So Scotty's discomfort is the visible tension. And if you think that the men that are production heads behind the show don't watch and realize that she's uncomfortable, you're ridiculous. That's why they bring the friends on the moon. They encourage the fighting. They encourage the drinking and the chaos around a pregnant woman. They encourage her partner to antagonize her on camera, even though she's 6 to 7 months pregnant, because that's what all pregnant women desire, to be antagonized by a man. weaponizing his incompetence on a regular basis. But this is the invested narrative of the show, right? Can Scotty be happy? Will she one day be happy once this baby gets here? Stay tuned for the next 8 episodes to find out. This is also interesting for the women who watch the show and see either themselves or a woman that they know represented in instances between Scotty and Lemmy. So the lesson becomes not don't date a rich man, but date a man that knows all about love, because you can be very wealthy and disrespectful, narcissistic, cheap, not generous, not kind, no desire to spend any quality time. So what good is that wealth? So now he's just throwing Gucci bags at you and sending you on a plane to loneliness. The lesson ultimately becomes value alignment as a non-negotiable. So you have to want more than wealth. Make sure that the partner that you decide to stick with, you all are aligned deeply in values. And you can watch my love meditations video to learn more, because I'm a strong proponent of divine Christian values that are steeped in love and the way that God defines it. And if we take that example from the love meditations framework, there is no love to be found in that relationship. Any man that would frame a relationship with you as customizable, he's already told you what it is. He's already shared that his terms are fixed and you are the option. You are the variable. That's not partnership. That's a contract, and not a very good one, because look who's writing the contract. No, thank you. So Scotty becomes not a cautionary tale, but a case study in real time, week after week, that we can continue to look towards and break down as an example. And the distinction matters here, because cautionary tale implies that she made a moral error. And we try not to judge women here, right? So a case study and the alternative of the cautionary tale takes a look and says, here's what the system has produced when it's worked as designed. And here is what we can all learn from watching and analyzing the system intently. So again, the show is called Scotty with the Baby, but what Zeus is really selling is the receipts of what you trade in when you decide to be chosen. When you decide to build your worth on what your body can offer and on a system that was never built to reward you and never was going to give you any equity anyway. So I'll be watching every week. I think I'm going to stick with it. You don't have to. I'll come back and give you bi-weekly updates on the show. Again, I would love for you to take a look at the Get Out of Your Own Way video so you can learn what to do if you find yourself stuck in situations where you're feeling less than valued, less than loved, because there are actionable steps that you can do to find the love that you deserve. Let me know. Are you watching this show, Scotty with the Baby? Do you watch Zeus? How did you feel about episode 1? Share your thoughts below. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Until next time, take care. Bye.